Crime scenes usually speak clearly. They tell you what happened long before anyone opens their mouth. They leave fingerprints behind, blood patterns, broken locks. Even when people lie, the scene doesn't. But this one didn't say a single word. And that silence was the first thing that told me something was wrong. I arrived just after midnight. The call itself had been vague. A neighbor reported hearing a scream from inside the house. Then silence. Too vague for something serious. Too serious for nothing. The street was empty when I pulled up. No neighbors watching from behind curtains. No flashing lights bouncing off windows. Just one patrol car parked quietly in front of a small residence at the edge of town. As I stepped out of my car, the silence pressed against me. It wasn't just quiet. It was a deliberate kind of stillness, like the night itself was holding its breath. I double-checked my gear, feeling that familiar mix of anticipation and unease. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. The house was intact. Windows closed. Door locked. But the porch light was still on, and according to the neighbor, the owner never left lights on after midnight. It looked like any other night, and in my experience, that's usually how the worst cases begin. I circled the house slowly, eyes scanning every corner. Something about the stillness felt wrong, like the world had paused, waiting for me to notice. When I stepped inside, the first thing I noticed wasn't what I saw. It was what I didn't feel. There was no tension in the air, no sense of urgency, no sign that something violent had just happened moments ago. That bothered me immediately. The furniture was exactly where it should be. Chairs pushed in, tables clean, no broken glass, no signs of forced entry. For a brief moment, I wondered why we had even been called. Then it hit me. Nothing was disturbed. And that was the first problem. I whispered to the other officer, "Nothing's out of place. That's unnerving." We exchanged a brief glance, both of us understanding that the absence of chaos could be more dangerous than its presence. We followed protocol, gloves on, flashlights ready. We started with the obvious places, door handles, clean, too clean, no usable fingerprints, not even smudges worth collecting. Every corner I checked whispered nothing. I muttered, "It's as if they knew we'd come." A chill ran down my spine. Instinctively, I began thinking of every possible scenario, every way this could be a setup or a trap. The floors came next. No footprints, no partial impressions, no drag marks, walls, tables, corners people usually lean against without thinking. Every surface was empty. Not wiped, not scrubbed, just selectively empty. It looked intentional, not professional, intentional. I stopped for a moment, kneeling to peer at the floor. Not a single mark betrayed human presence. I couldn't remember the last time a scene felt this sterile. My mind raced, questioning every instinct, every detail I might have missed. People assume that no evidence means no crime. That's wrong. No evidence can mean something far worse. Because crimes don't erase themselves, someone was supposed to be here. The house wasn't abandoned. Lights had been left on. A cup of coffee still sat on the desk, cold beneath the dim desk lamp. But something about it felt wrong. The coffee had separated, old, untouched for hours, which didn't match the timeline from the emergency call, yet every trace was missing. Where are the signs? Where's anything? The silence was oppressive, almost mocking. We turned to technology. Security cameras from nearby buildings showed nothing unusual. No unfamiliar vehicles passing by, no figures approaching or leaving, no gaps in footage. At least, none that we could explain. Everything flowed smoothly, minute by minute. Phones didn't help either, except for one thing. At 12:14 a.m., someone unlocked the victim's phone for exactly 4 seconds. No emergency calls, no frantic messages, no last-second attempts to reach someone. Digital silence, just like the room. I felt my frustration build. Every logical tool failed me. I whispered to myself, "This isn't normal. Something's off. We're missing it." That's when doubt creeps in. Was this even a crime? An accident? A medical emergency? A misunderstanding blown out of proportion? But the report that brought us here was real. Someone had reported a scream. Someone had been inside this house. And now, no one was answering. I rubbed my forehead, trying to piece together the puzzle. Nothing fit. Everything seemed normal and wrong at the same time. There has to be a clue, I muttered, knowing deep down that this case would haunt me. The scene just refused to confirm it. I took a slow breath, feeling the weight of the emptiness. This place, it's pretending, I whispered. Every instinct screamed that the answers weren't gone. They were hidden, waiting for someone sharp enough to notice. There's a saying among investigators, evidence always tells a story. But this case taught me something else. Sometimes, evidence tells you nothing at all. Just a space where answers should have been. A room that witnessed something and left behind no proof it ever did. This is Last Trace, and some traces were never meant to be found. I turned to leave, glancing back one last time. The silence followed me out, heavy, watchful, like the house knew something we didn't. 3 days later, we found the owner's car abandoned 30 miles away, still locked, still clean, just like the house.